This is Let's Talk Teens, a parenting podcast sharing tips on raising amazing teenagers. We are both certified life coaches that have worked with teenagers as coaches, mentors, and teachers. We are sharing what we have found to work best when dealing with teens and tough issues.
Hello, you are listening to Let's Talk Teens with Abbi and Cheree, episode 20, Keeping Your Teens Engaged in Family Activities.
Oh, Cheree, we're just coming out of the holidays as we are recording this, and we have lots of family activities in the holidays, right? And it's so busy. And I thought, you know what? I want to talk about how do you keep your teen engaged in family activities? Because I hear often from parents when their teen was maybe a tween or even younger, because they say, oh, they wanted to hang out with me. They wanted to be a part of the family, right? So it's a really common situation that occurs when a teen all of a sudden doesn't want to engage in family activities. And so I wanted to talk together and figure out what are some ways that we can keep teens engaged in family activities.
I love it. I think that's so important and so needed because you're right. It changes from the time they're young to the time they're teenagers. They lose interest in the family and they want to hang out more with their friends, which I think is normal. Nothing has gone wrong, but let's figure out how. How can we do it? What do you think?
Oh, you said it so well that nothing has gone wrong. This is actually like, mom, dad, please take a deep breath because this is a very normal part of a teen's brain development. It's actually part of the process, right? That they want to push the boundaries of home, they want to spend time with their friends, right? And truly, this is our brain chemistry because one day our teen is going to have to fly the nest, right? And they are emotionally, mentally preparing for that. And it's painful. It doesn't take away that it's painful, but it's normal. Okay. So don't feel bad if all of a sudden your teen doesn't want to hang out with you. But here's some ideas of engaging them in family activities that I think you'll find they'll like and you'll like. So, our first bit of advice is to let them pick and have a say in family outings. As your child goes into their teenage years from preteen to teen to older young adult, let them have a say in our family activities. And this can just become a part of your family culture that, everybody gets to maybe pick what you guys do on Friday nights or the movie, right? There's just little ways that you can acknowledge that your teen is stepping into adulthood and pull them aside and say, "Hey, I need your help. What do you think would be a good family outing for us on Saturday?" Right? And your teen would just eat up that extra responsibility of, man, mom and dad really trust me to come up with some really great ideas. And it's a good way to have them have natural buy-in when they've helped decide and pick the activities you're going to do as a family.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you so much on that. It's so important. And really, most of the time is the only way you're going to get them to buy in. So let them be a part of it. Ah, so important.
Yes, and then this one is key. This is probably my favorite tip we have for you. Keep it short and pleasant. I know there's a natural tendency when somebody is pushing away from us that we want to glom onto them. We want to savor every second with them. So we'll plan things like, let's go and we'll have the family go out for 3 hours and we'll go dinner and then this and then another activity because you kind of have your teen. Maybe even your young adults have come home from college and you're like, oh, I have to use this time with them. And I just want to suggest fighting that really natural urge to, soak up every second with them and keep it short and pleasant, right? We don't want to get on each other's nerves. And so if we can just keep our activities short, pleasant, I always say end it before you think you should end it. Right? When you're still having fun, that is when you should be like, okay, guys, let's pack up, let's go home. Or, hey, you guys can now, do what you want with the rest of your Saturday. But this lets your teen and your children know, hey, hanging out with mom and dad, with the family, it doesn't have to be an all day event. And we're just keeping it to the very best parts of hanging out together.
I think it also really allows your teenager to say, for them to know what's important to you. Okay, this is important to me. We have some family time, but I see you and I want what's important for you. And that might be friend time or that might be alone time. And so I'm not going to monopolize all your time. I'm not going to, be this needy parent. I'm going to say family time is valuable to me. I know it's valuable to you. I'm going to make it so you can have what's valuable to you too. It's kind of a win-win. I like it.
Oh, yes, right? And letting them know, like, hey, this is going to be an hour. This is going to be 30 minutes, right? And so they can kind of mentally go, okay, yeah, I can put my phone away for that long, or I can be engaged for that long. My third tip for you is to plan well in advance and give your teen a heads up. Nobody is busier than a teenager. And if you can come together, I'm a big fan of family meetings, just a weekly quick check in, but plan those activities well in advance. You're going to avoid many of the problems of saying, hey guys, I had an idea. Let's all jump in the car. We're going to go visit grandma or we're going to go on a Sunday drive. Your teen is naturally going to say things like, oh, I made plans, or I'm working on homework, or oh, I was going to watch the show, right? Because they weren't prepared. And so we need to allow them that space and that adulthood responsibility of being in charge of their own schedules. And how we help them do that is we say on Sunday for a weekly meeting, we say, listen, guys, Wednesday night, we're all going to go help grandma for an hour, okay? And we're all going to be there. We're all going to be happy about it, and you make room, okay? And then everybody goes, okay. But then nobody's surprised. So let them know well in advance when you want to have a family activity.
For sure. And one of the things that I think is important about this one is this isn't just important when they're teenagers, but it prepares you as parents and them when they become young adults and they're married and they move on. That's the stage we're in. That when we have plans in advance, they can also, plan for those. And it's more likely that we're going to get those married kids home. So this just setting a standard at a good time in their teen years that will be very beneficial in their adult years as well.
Yes, I would say that's one of the hardest transitions of when your kids do leave the nest and either they're married or they're living on their own, and realizing that they are their own little unit and you have to coordinate with that unit, right? So practice now. And lastly, I would always make sure that you decide together as you and your spouse or you and your parenting partner and your child, like what's most important and what can slip. So here's an example of that. If their little cousin is having a birthday party and the whole family gets together and it's going to be so fun, well, if that's on Saturday and then your teen also has prom on Saturday, you're probably going to want to come together with your teen and say, hey, I know that you love your cousin and it's important that we should be at this birthday, but I also know prom is really important. So it's okay if you miss this birthday party because you're going to prom, right? One kind of trumps the other. Now, having your teen say, ugh, I don't want to go to a family meeting or I don't want to go support my sister's recital just because they want to chill in their room on their phone, right? Probably not okay. And so you've got to come together and decide what matters the most to me and what am I willing to let slip, right? Because it is a compromise of, they're becoming their own person, they have their own friends and different priorities. And family in your teenage years does fall on that priority totem pole. It kind of goes more towards the bottom. And that's really natural. But if your team knows, hey, my mom has scheduled us to have family pictures on Thursday night, like that's really important. And they know to be available. You're going to have way less fights if you're willing to compromise and say, okay, on Friday night, you don't have to come and watch the family movie with us. Yeah, you can go hang out with your friends this time. So it's that give and take, but deciding what's most important.
I would add to that that give and take is sometimes letting the friends come with you on that family activity. I noticed this especially with our youngest because everyone else was moved out of the house. Sometimes family time was tricky, for him. He wasn't quite sure he wanted to just be with mom and dad. And one of the give and take things that we really learned was, what, we want family time, but sometimes family time, the way to really get him engaged and liking family time was to say, hey, do you want to invite a friend? Even when we would go on trips. And that was we felt like we got really good time with him. And he felt like he also got something he wanted out of it. And then he was more willing to spend time with us. So I think just having that give and take, sometimes things change. And there were times where we were like, no friends on this one. And there were times where we were very open to that. So I love that give and take. Like, there's sometimes we have to really listen to what are the needs of our teen and how do we want to make this time together as a family amazing and not contentious.
Oh, and adding to that, significant others. Let the boyfriend or girlfriend come because
For
that is
sure.
their whole world. That's how you're going to get them there so happy. So if it doesn't matter, right? let the girlfriend, boyfriend come, let the friend come. I know we can't always do that, like you were mentioning, but when we can, let's take it. Let's take our teen and they will be so thrilled. So we hope that these tips help you out. We will admit keeping a teen engaged in family activities can be a challenge, but it can also be something that you guys can figure out and always find that win-win. And so we have total faith in you, mom and dad. You got this. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Teens with Cheree Murdock and Abbi Winslow. If you are looking for more tips to help your teenager, here's where you can find us. You can find Cheree Murdock on Instagram at Cheree Murdock Coaching or on her website, ChereeMurdock.com. You can find me, Abbi, on Instagram as Abbi Winslow or on my website, AbbiWinslow.com. Please rate and review our podcast and share with a fellow parent. Thanks for listening.